The restaurant was buzzing with laughter and clinking glasses when it happened. I had been trying to catch my wife Emily's attention for the past 20 minutes, waving my hand, leaning in, trying to make eye contact. She was sitting across from me, completely absorbed in her phone, laughing at something on the screen. I smiled awkwardly at the waiter, hoping Emily would notice, but she didn't. When she finally glanced up, her expression was polite but distant. Not a single spark of warmth, not even a nod. We had been married for 6 years, and yet, at that moment, I felt like a complete stranger. I had thought we were partners, a team that could face the world together. But sitting there, in front of our friends and strangers, I realized how alone I had become. Then it happened. A woman at the next table, a complete stranger with kind eyes and a gentle smile, leaned over. "Excuse me," she said softly. "Are you here alone? You look single." She chuckled lightly, but there was no malice in her tone. Something in her gaze pierced me. Before I could respond, she reached out and took my hand. Emily noticed, of course. I saw the quick flash of irritation cross her face, but she said nothing, choosing instead to scroll through her phone. My hand, now held by this stranger, felt alive, warm. A connection I hadn't realized I had been starving for. I pulled my hand back politely. "I'm married," I said, my voice low. She smiled knowingly, tilting her head. "Married, huh? Then I guess someone's not paying enough attention to you." The words stung. They echoed the very thing I had been feeling for months. Invisible, ignored, unappreciated. Emily's lack of acknowledgement, her cold distance, it all suddenly became painfully clear. The woman at the next table had said what I couldn't bring myself to admit aloud. I was invisible to my own wife. As I watched Emily scroll casually, laughing at messages on her phone, my chest tightened. I wanted to confront her, to demand respect, to make her see how humiliating it felt. But part of me hesitated, because I wasn't sure I wanted a confrontation in front of strangers. And part of me realized that maybe I had already been ignored for far too long. And it wasn't just tonight. The stranger released my hand and returned to her table, leaving me with a heavy, bitter clarity. Something had to change. After that night at the restaurant, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. Emily's cold indifference and the stranger's brief, genuine connection kept replaying in my mind. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of clarity and anger. How had it come to this? How had the woman I loved made me feel so invisible, so unworthy of even a glance in public? The next day, Emily acted as if nothing had happened. She chatted casually about work, friends, weekend plans, the same way she always did when I was nearby, but not really part of her world. I wanted to speak up, to demand she acknowledge how deeply she had hurt me. But instead I sat quietly, pretending to sip my coffee while my mind raced. By evening, I knew I couldn't stay passive any longer. I needed to show her, not with shouting or pleading, but with the power of consequence. If she wanted to treat me like I didn't exist, she would soon realize that I was capable of stepping out of the shadows she had cast over me. The opportunity came sooner than expected. A small gallery opening in the city had been on my calendar for weeks. Emily was supposed to accompany me, but when I mentioned it, she laughed. "I have plans with friends. You go enjoy yourself." That was it. No hesitation, no second thought. Just brushing me off again. I smiled, inwardly shaking my head. Fine. If she wanted to ignore me, I would show her how it felt to be replaced by attention, by presence, by curiosity. I dressed carefully, not flamboyantly, but with purpose, confidence. And I went alone. At the gallery, I walked among the guests, greeting people, making small talk. And then I saw her, a woman, mid-30s, warm smile, sharp eyes, standing near a painting I had admired earlier. She caught my gaze and without hesitation, reached out and took my hand. Not in a playful way, not flirtatious, just grounding. Real. Emily noticed immediately. She froze mid-conversation with a friend, and looked at me, really looked. I could see the recognition that the attention I had been denied all these years was being claimed elsewhere, subtly, politely, but unmistakably. For the first time, Emily realized that her indifference carried consequences. And I realized something too. I didn't need to chase validation from the woman who ignored me. I could choose to reclaim it myself. Emily stayed frozen in place, her smile vanished, replaced by confusion and a flicker of panic. I held the stranger's hand for a moment longer, feeling grounded, alive, and completely in control of my own emotions. Then I released it, offering the woman a polite nod before turning my attention back to Emily. "Do you see now?" I asked calmly. "Do you see what it feels like to be invisible?" She opened her mouth, probably to argue, but no words came. She realized finally that her actions, the public disregard, the constant prioritizing of everyone else's attention over mine, had consequences. I didn't mean," she started, but I cut her off. "Intentions don't matter, Emily. What matters is impact. And for months, I've been invisible to you, ignored and dismissed. Tonight, you got a small glimpse of what that feels like. A stranger recognized my presence, my worth. And you." I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. "You didn't even notice I existed." Her eyes softened slightly, but I wasn't done. I had spent too long waiting for her to change, hoping she would suddenly see me again. That hope was gone. I had realized something crucial. Respect and attention couldn't be demanded. They had to be earned, mutually given. And if she wasn't willing to give it, I would take control of my own life. I walked past her and left the gallery. Emily called my name, her voice tight, desperate, but I didn't stop. The night air hit me like a release. For the first time in months, I felt free from the suffocating neglect. I realized I didn't need Emily's validation to feel alive. Over the next few days, Emily tried to reconnect, sent texts, even called, but I stayed distant. I had learned that self-respect was more powerful than pleading. And slowly, I noticed something remarkable. The way people around me, friends and strangers alike, responded to my confidence and independence. That spark, that presence, was mine. I didn't have to wait for someone else to acknowledge it. Weeks later, Emily came around, genuinely asking for attention, trying to rebuild what she had neglected. But by then, I had changed too. I wasn't desperate to be noticed. I had reclaimed my dignity and my life. And if she wanted to be a part of it, it had to be on equal terms. Respect, attention, and love earned, not demanded. That night at the restaurant had been a turning point. The stranger's hand had reminded me of something essential. I deserved to be seen, heard, and valued. And I refused to let anyone make me feel invisible ever again.